Exciting news all around, seeing that a slate of high octane action packed films have been greenlit to start, production even right this year. And also, an African film has gone on to win the topmost award for one of Europe's prestigious film festival. And indeed, these are good news to be heard, seeing that this film is the first African film ever to have won that award. So it is indeed exciting, and let's delve into the stories for today's episode of the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu, and in the very first story, a South African film titled Hen has gone on to win the topmost prize for a film festival in Europe called NIFF, or abbreviated as NIFFF. Let me get the name right because it is quite a mouthful in terms of its pronunciation. And this film festival, indeed, for its span of existence, none no African film has gone on to win that particular prize. And it is indeed exciting to see that an African film has gone on to win this particular award. It's actually a Swiss fantasy film festival, and the name is Neuchâtel International Fantastic Film Festival based in Switzerland. And it is indeed exciting. And this film actually is a South African film which is produced by or directed by Nico Skipper, if I'm getting the name right, Nico Skipper. So let's just take a quick look at the poster for this film, and there in your shot is actually the poster for this film, and it is actually a horror film made by Nico Scheepers from South Africa, from the African tribe. And this film actually was produced entirely in black and white. So in watching the trailer, it gives a very airy feeling about it, and it's quite, the something airy about the entire trailer if you watch it. And it's quite exciting to see that this film has been, picked up for the topmost prize for the Swiss Fantasy Film Festival. And it is indeed exciting to hear. So, this particular horror film indeed is a film that has broken the jinx of it not of no African film being able to win this festival. So this South African horror film Hen has become the first African film to win the H.R. Geiger Narcisse Award for Best Feature Film at the Neuchâtel, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, International Fantastic Film Festival in Switzerland. And it comes with a prize money of 10,000 Swiss francs. And the director, Nico Scheepers, indeed has gone on to win this award for his film. And there in your short is Nico Scheepers, who directed this film to win this particular award. And this film, indeed, the plot is set on an isolated farm. The film follows a man who finds a boy locked inside a wooden chest, surrounded by dead bodies, and takes him home to his wife. And that plot alone, indeed, speaks volume of what is likely to follow in the film. But the film, indeed, is shot in such a way that it is really grounded, and the characters in the trailer are just three. That's the man, the wife, and also the little boy that he found in the chest. So it's quite an interesting story. I haven't watched it. I've watched the trailer, and that alone, I can tell as to the directing chops of Nico Scheepers in realizing this very airy horror film that the Fantasy Film Festival has seen it worthy to be given the topmost prize. So it is quite indeed a good news to hear that this African film has gone on to win the topmost prize. So Hen indeed has made history with this massive win, seeing that no other African film has ever been able to win this particular award from the Neuchâtel International Fantastic Film Festival. So indeed, it is a big win for Nico Scheepers for, I don't know whether this is his directorial debut or not, but one of the exciting thing about this entire thing, even to have won, it's the whole film was shot in black and white, and the film is described as a slow cinema compared, a slow cinema psychological thriller compared to the works of, or inspired by the works of a filmmaker called Andrea Tarkovsky and Bella Tar. So, it is praised. It's becomes highly regarded with regards to such. And not only that, but this particular film, Hen, actually has also won 8 awards already from a South African film, from a South African film festival, having been nominated 12 times already for that particular festival. And the festival is Silverskerm Film Festival. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but it won at the 2025 Silverskerm Film Festival, having been nominated for 12, categories, for 12 categories. So it went on to win 8 out of this 12, and out of the 8, amongst them is the best director, best actor, and best screenplay. So it really holds its own as a formidable film. And indeed, it is of no surprise that it has gone on to win this particular award. And one of the, I think, the producer of the film, Zandria Kodza or Kodza, co-founder and producer of Nagvlog Films, the production company for this film, went on to say that this is the first African film to win the top prize at Neuchâtel, but I doubt it will be the last. And I like this optimism and backed with actually real work to say that, or to announce that there will be more African films which will follow suit to win this topmost prize. And I believe not just this topmost prize for this award, but go on to make big names in other, film festival that may be in Europe that perhaps no other African film has ever won. So I'm excited about this film, particularly for winning this award, not just for it being an African film, but also in the genre that is dabbling in. When it comes to a lot of African films, most often than not, we are noted for perhaps our own comedy and our own cultural, stylistic films that we produce. But usually for films like the horror, we are not so much known, or we've not really made an impact on the global stage. Even though we still do horror films, and we, on the continent, we still do horror films. We watch them, but in terms of winning such prestigious awards, it's never really been something of that nature. So it's indeed exciting to see African films in a genre that perhaps we may not have been known for winning this top most coveted award. So it's quite exciting. And congratulations to Nico Scheepers and his team for winning this award, and not just for themselves and South Africa, but for Africa as a whole. And indeed, I do agree to the statement made by the co-producer as to the fact that this will not be the last African films gracing, the global landscape with such a tremendous win. So it is indeed exciting to see. So let me know what your thoughts are in regards to this, horror film winning this top most coveted award. Indeed, I knew nothing about it, but in seeing the trailer, I could understand why it will go on to win this coveted award, and as well as the fact that it's won 8 awards out of 12 nominations in the a South African film festival already. So if you've heard about this story, what are your thoughts on it, and what are your thoughts on Africa going into the genre of horror on the global stage? Indeed, whatever your thoughts may be, can you leave it in the comments section below. So moving on from one genre that perhaps the world might not know that Africa is very good in, also comes another genre of action films. And this actually comes from the staples of 22 Summers, that is Idris Elba's film company, partnering with the Nile Entertainment Group, Media Group in Nigeria. And there you have it. These are the faces behind the slate of action films that Idris Elba and his team are setting out to put out there to make sure that the world knows that in terms of diversity of films or diversity of genres, indeed, Africa is also part of that storytelling initiatives. So there in your short are the names and the faces of those behind this initiative, which is really a big slate that they are trying to push and embark on. And the whole idea is that Hollywood star Idris Elba, whose mother is Ghanaian and father is Sierra Leonean, is teaming up with Nigerian and UK partners to build a slate of action films rooted in West Africa. So this is a game changer for the continent, because on the global stage, most of the African films directed, from the motherland is not really known to be in the genre of high octane action packed films. So it is indeed great to see that they are embarking on this to prove that we have diversity of films which fills or which works perfectly in the genre. And it is indeed exciting. So Idris Elba's production company known as 22 Summers is partnering with the Nile Media Group, which is headed by Moses Baba Topes and from Nigeria, and that is a veteran at that. And also Chi Keong, whose production company is Action Xtreme, who is based in the UK. They are the ones teaming up to make this possible. So it's going to be a slate of films. So far, we've only know of two of the slate of films being which has been greenlit. One to start production in the last quarter of this year, 2026, which will be directed by Chi Keong. And then the next one, I don't know whether that would be Idris, because Idris is actually also well, is also going to be directing a film out of this slate of films. And it is indeed exciting when you see what Idris is able to do directing his film. His focus is so legendary, and it's quite amazing to have him pioneering this initiative, which is a much needed initiative that for African cinema, so that the world would know that we have diversity of films that we can tell as well. So indeed, it's quite exciting, and not just the excitement is not just in the aspect of the films that is going to be directed, but for the very fact that when you talk about distribution as well, there is a plan for it. It's not just going to be shot in Africa and then distributed, you know, in elsewhere other than just the aside outside the continent alone. But Baba Tope and his team of this capable, you know, as women or female lieutenants are going to be distributing the films in different territories of the world. So that is very exciting. So he will be co-producing these films as well from his production company known as the Nile Media Entertainment Group, and they will be distributing these films all over the world, and that is quite exciting. The exciting thing about the Nile Media Group is that they actually are in partnership with Universal and Paramount. So they are actually in the big leagues as well. And it's not just a matter of a private company set aside, but they are in partnership with these two, media giants from Hollywood. And they are going to help distribute these films as well. And seeing this team up is indeed exciting, meaning that it is not just a team up of just any ordinary companies, but a team up of companies with big names attached and with big connections also in the offing to make sure that these films get the necessary eyeballs needed from all over the world. So that is quite exciting. And for those who perhaps may not have been following the news, Idris Elba has always had a passion of making sure that African films and the industry get the needed attention that it requires. And for the past couple of years, he's been coming back onto the Ghana and other places in Africa to have productions shot and made on the land itself. He also, already he's not just an actor, but he's also a producer, and he's also has gone into the directing as well. But the good aspect of it is that it's not just doing this, but also bringing the business aspect of filmmaking, bringing investors onto into Africa to make sure that films are not just shot here, but there is a hub that is based here in Africa for films to be continually produced on the continent. And one of the things that he is initiated already is to build a world-class Hollywood level studio, both in Ghana and then I think Zanzibar as well. So it is indeed exciting to hear this news, and I believe that this particular initiative is also as a result of the already connections or business establishments that he has already initiated on the continent. And indeed, I'm very, very excited about this initiative being taken because then it will open the eyes of the world as to the investments he's already made together with his team and partners to make that happen. And that is quite exciting, I must say. That is really, really exciting to hear. So, um, El, Idris Elba's commitment, an A-list actor, in Hollywood and in the UK, commitment to Africa's film or cinematic landscape is legendary. I think when it comes to how driven he is to see Africa rise in the global cinematic landscape, none can be compared to him. And it is indeed exciting to see that he is backing his word with action. As a matter of fact, I had the privilege and opportunity to be on a set of a production that he did last year. And when I talk about his directing, his focus, and when it comes to directing is legendary, I saw how, when he gets into the game of directing, he there's no distraction. He's focused, and not just that, but how he's able to direct, and he wears the cap of both a director and an actor, so he's able to flip. When he's done directing, the backgrounds and stuff, he gets into the shoes of the act of an actor as well, and then delivers spectacularly at in that regard. So I know that him embarking on this project will be exquisite. It will be excellent, and that is something I'm looking forward to see what you'll be doing next, particularly with this production. And I believe that this slate of films is just the beginning of the several others that he might not necessarily be directing, but also producing and bringing other talent to support what they are doing in Africa. And I'm so excited about it, to tell the truth. I am very, very excited because he is indeed living his dream and passion and vision for Africa, and I'm excited about it. So, you know, there's more to be revealed as to why the number of films that would come out of this very first initiative of productions that they are doing. But one of the things that they said, that is Baba Topes, who is the head or CEO of the Nile Media Entertainment Group. This is what he said. He said that what action is one of the world's most commercially powerful genres, yet Africa remains largely underrepresented in that space, despite the incredible stories, talent, and creative energy that exists across the continent. And indeed, he is right. That is Baba Tope is right about that. When it comes to action films, you rarely see more African films in that particular genre. But there is something that Idris himself said, with regards to, there's an article published in the Deadline, which I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to read further. And that's what Idris Elba said. The journey continues. Strengthening the African film industry is about collaboration and shared perspectives. I'm fortunate to have these partners and aim to have global success with this slate. Success breeds data, and data breeds investment. And this statement is indeed wonderful. It's wonderful in the sense that, what he's saying is actually what we so much need to build the industry we find ourselves in. Without success, there wouldn't be much data, and then the data wouldn't bring in the necessary investments that is required to help build the industry. And this is something I've been talking about, that to build a proper film industry, you need certain infrastructure, you need certain things in place. One of the things, out of the three things he mentioned, data. Without data as to whether the industry is successful or not, you won't be able to whip up the interest of investment all over. And success definitely is what's going to bring the investors. And is really hits on the key points needed to help build Africa. If you have successful stories told, if our films are commercially viable all over the world, bringing investors to invest in the film industries all across the continent would be very, very easy to do. And I'm very certain that him and his team are going to get it done. And we are looking forward to the examples they're going to set on the continent for others to also follow. So I'm excited about this. I don't know about you. Are you going to be looking out for the slate of action films that Idris Elba and his collaborators are, churning out? What is your thoughts already on what he has started, or what he started long ago, in terms of the film studios he's building in Africa? Whatever your thoughts may be on this initiative, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And all too soon, we've wrapped up the two major stories for this episode. But as usual, today being a Friday and a weekend, what are the movies that you are so excited to watch come, in the afternoon, or whatever times they're going to show these films? So let's quickly take a look at the top 10, well, maybe a couple of films that will be showing in the cinemas, in any cinema near you. So first, let's start with Ghana, and let's go to the Silverbird. Yeah, yeah. So let's go quickly to the Silverbird cinemas and see which films will be showing tonight. So at the Silverbird, Accra, both Accra Mall and the West Hills Mall, we have still Moana still streaming on screening in the cinemas, and the return of Omotara Johnson, which is a Nigerian film as well. And we have Evil Dead, Ben, and horror film, and would I say a historic adventure, or is it fictionalized? That is Young Washington. We also have Minions and Monsters still in the cinema screening, as well as Supergirl, Toy Story 5, Obsession, Disclosure Day, Call of My Life, Michael, and yeah, these are films that are still, that are currently being screened in the cinemas. However, there are some new films that will be coming soon, and one of them is Sony and Marvel Spider-Man Brand New Day, together with Motor City, starring is it Alan Richardson? I think so. Yeah. So for Ghana, or I think even in Nigeria, silver bets in Nigeria and South Africa, you can go and watch these films as well. So now let's check globally which films may be showing in cinemas all over. So we go to the Rotten Tomato site, and there we have My Sassy Girl, and then 40 Watts from Nowhere, and America Pachuco, Borderline, and Da Star, and Horse Girl, and a couple of other films. They are quite a lot, and I don't know what might whip up your interest, but whatever that may be. And also, yes, before I forget, one of the biggest films of the cinema, one of the most anticipated films of the year, directed by Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey, would be showing in the cinemas. That is tomorrow. That is global. The global premiere of The Odyssey will be showing in the cinemas tomorrow. That is sorry, it's in the cinemas today, July 17th, today. So go grab your tickets and go and check it out and see for yourself whether you will like it or not. So there you have it. These are just but few films that will be showing in the cinemas globally. And all too soon, we have come to the end of today's episode of the Film Mandate. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Let me know your thoughts on some of the stories that I've been talking about and share your opinions, which will be very much appreciated. My name is Papa Otu, and I'll come your way again with another exciting episode of the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.